Vacation rentals. I seem to be on a roll about that subject lately. I don't know why. Maybe because I sell so many of them. Today, though, I'd like to discuss how to sell your vacation rental while it's occupied. That in itself is a challenge. So I call this having your cake and eat it too. That's when my seller says, hey, sell my vacation rental. And by the way, I'm not canceling any of the bookings. I gross $200,000 a year from that rental, and I'm not canceling any bookings, so you have to sell it while it's occupied. That's what I say to that. So let's talk about the timing. In Hawaii here, our peak season for vacation rentals is winter. While you're on the mainland shoveling snow, we're laying on the beach at 85 degrees. So the seller calls me out and says, right in peak time, I want to sell this place. And the first thing I do is talk to them about their tax consequences. I want to make sure they know what's in store before we even start talking about selling. And that is another whole session. And I have done a video on that. And I'll put the link down below because that is crucial. Before you even talk about selling the house, you need to know your tax consequences, especially here in Hawaii, because there's some added taxes on top of your normal ones. So once we've decided it's okay to list the property, I feel like the people have full understanding of their tax situation, then I pop the big question. Are you going to cancel your reservations so I can have access to the property and sell it for you? And that's when they look at me like I have two heads, because there's no way they're giving up that income. So now what? Well, let's take a look at their calendar. We'll pull up their rental calendar. First thing I see is, okay, we have maybe 10 days in the next 90 days where you're not booked. And out of those 10 days, how many of those days are cleaning after a checkout? So let's say I have 7 days in the next 90 days where the property is vacant and I can show it. That in itself is almost impossible. So let me explain the circumstances. We're looking at you wanting me to sell the rental, but at the same time you have it rented. How's that going to work? Well, then you say, oh, look, the whole month of May, I have no bookings. You can show that unit every day in May. And then I say to you, the reason you have no bookings in May is because we have no tourists here in May. Therefore, I have no buyers to show it to. Okay? Here's another situation. I'll call you and say, hey, I got a really good prospect that wants to see your vacation rental, but it's booked right now. So what are we going to do? And you pull up the calendar and you say, well, they check out in a week. Just make the appointment for next week. That doesn't work either. Why? Because the people that are looking to buy the vacation rental are here on vacation. They won't be here next week. So they're going to either see it today or they're not going to see it at all ever, because then they're on the plane on their way back home. So we have to work out a plan. The renter has no obligation to let us see that property while they're renting. It's totally up to them whether they let us in or not. So I have a strategy, and here's how we do it. First, I have you call the property manager and tell them that they are to cooperate with me fully when I call them and say, let me have access to show the unit within the next day or so. That way the property manager is the one who calls the renter who's in the unit. They already have a relationship in most cases. That's number one. Also, you want to express to that property manager that it's very important to you that this unit be sold. So it's very important that they help you. Second thing I do is have you, the seller, work with me on an incentive program for the renter. We want to entice them to allow us in. For example, they're going to be playing golf all day, or they're going to the volcano, or they're going to be at the beach. They might let us in. And more so, they might let us in for the showing if we offer them a $25, $50 gift certificate to dinner like Ruth Chris or Tommy Bahamas here locally. For a high-end rental, you gotta bump it up a little bit more. For a high-end rental, it's probably gonna be a couple rounds of golf, something along those lines. For the high-end properties, I will often volunteer to get housekeepers in. If the people are going to be gone to the volcano all day, then I'll tell them, well, I'll have a housekeeper come in and straighten up for you right before my showing. They often like that. Now, we go through a lot of trouble for this showing, enticing the renter, getting the property cleaned up. What if the buyers aren't qualified after all this? Well, naturally, I pre-qualify my buyers. But what if another agent has called me and said, oh, I have this client and I want them to see that rental. And I say, oh, have you pre-qualified them? Yeah, I've pre-qualified them. I said, okay, so you won't mind paying with me for the enticement to get the renters out for the day. You won't mind paying for a couple rounds of golf with me. That's the true test. I never make them pay in the end, but that's how I weed them out. If they say, oh no, this is the first time we've ever been out with these people, I don't know that much about them, then I'm like, yeah, no, it's not happening. So what if the renter says, yeah, fine, we're gonna be gone for the day. Feel free to show the property. Whoa, be careful. This has happened to me so many times that I have a system now. I go at least an hour early to the unit to check it out, because sometimes it can be trashed. And by trashed, I mean messy. I mean, like, there's a suitcase everywhere, wide open with all the clothes hanging out. There's boogie boards all over the place. And most of all, there's always 2 weeks supply of food on the counter from Costco. So I need to run in there and tidy up everything before I show it. And then when the people come home for the end of the day, I always think, where'd she hide all our food? Anyway, just a heads up, you've got to do that. Sometimes the property manager's not that good about helping me, once in a while. So it hasn't been beneath me to go knock on the door myself. And what I found is, many times, the property manager didn't ask in the first place. I had this one grandmother, I knocked on the door and I said, hi, you know, this owner of this place has it on the market and I have some people that would like to buy it. Is there any time you're gonna be gone and we could come in and show it to them? And here's a gift certificate for lunch. And she said, well, thank you very much. I'm going to take my grandkids down to lunch while you show the property. I said, great, works for both of us. Next day, same thing. Get hold of her, I said, I got another person to show it to. She goes, give me the gift certificate, I'll take the grandkids to lunch. We had something going on there for a few days. That worked out perfect. The bottom line is, when you're thinking about selling your vacation rental, know how many moving parts there are to it. You've got all the tax situation to handle. You've got how do I show it when it's rented? And then we get into escrow, then what? You've got all the complications of, you've got bookings a year in advance, as most people do. You've got to calculate how many deposits that you have taken in. You have to credit those deposits back to the new buyer who's going to honor your advance bookings. It's very complicated when it gets down to that. And then the last thing is what stays with the unit. You need to know that before you list the property, because when it's in escrow is not the time to decide that that painting doesn't stay, and that table doesn't stay, and those books don't stay. That's not the time. So lots to think about. My biggest and best suggestion is that you get a realtor who knows the ropes and knows how to handle that situation. And in this case, that'd be me. Don't forget, call me. If you got any value from this video, please click the link below for liking and give me that old thumbs up. And if you would like to be part of my Ohana, which means family, and would like more information on real estate in Hawaii, please click the subscribe button. Until next time, aloha from Eileen.